Hello everyone and welcome to lesson 2 of Intro to CSS. Now, since last week, I have added a couple things to this file here. All of this stuff that I have typed here, that I put in here, this sample page, is going to be available in the description. If you'd like to copy and paste it into your text editor and follow along with me, you may. First off, you're going to make sure that your style.css is named the exact same. If you named your style.css something else, if you gave it a different name, then make sure you reflect it up here in the href when you're linking it to your sample page. Now, this page you're seeing right here is a result of right-clicking and doing open with live server. If you don't know how live server works, it basically just means that as I save and update this file here, it'll update live on this page because it is pulling it from my computer. And if you don't know how to set that up, I say that in my first video in lesson 1. I make a little point to kind of show how to do live server. But that's basically all it does. One quick note is that in case you're unaware, anything that you make, anything that is created by you is covered by copyright under the law. So it's always good practice, and people always say that whenever you make something, be sure to include the copyright symbol there, and then you can just type in your name. Sure, you just type whatever your name is right there, the year that you made it, and the copyright. It's just always good practice. It's not that it's ever going to be needed, but in case something ever occurs, it's just good to go ahead and have that there. I've also inserted a picture. You can still tell that the H1 thing from our first week that we just did, or our first lesson that we had, is still there. I'm using the same style sheet, so that whole H1 is still hanging about right there. But other than that, I've just added a picture. I put some text in here, no big deal. I've added some links up here for Facebook and Instagram and Google. Normally these would be links to your secondary and third and fourth pages of your main page. So if I made a page for my business, pretending this is a page for my business, this would be my home page, and then this would be like 2 or 3 other pages that are related to my page, like an About Us page, or a Contact Us page, or a sign up page if you have like services that you want them to sign up for, things like that. That's what will go up there. For right now, I've just put Facebook, Instagram, and Google just to have fun with it and put those in there. And I'm going to teach you guys a little bit more about CSS. So I showed you guys last week with this style.css how to do an H1. But if you come over here to our HTML, you notice we have an H1 right here, but we also have 2 paragraphs, which are these 2 things here. Now, this is in a footer, yes, but if I were to just type P in my style, for example, if I were just going to put P, let's see, what attribute should I give it? I'll give it a font size change. Let's do font size, okay? So if I do P and I do like font size and I change it to 1.5 EM, don't worry about EM or any of those that syntax right now. It's not super important. I will teach you guys about EM later. Not super important. It's just a percentage sizing. So you see how it changed both of these. But what if I wanted to keep this my name here, this part? I want to keep that the same, and I just want to change this to a bigger font. So instead of just calling P, what we're going to do is we're going to come over here to our HTML file, whatever we've called it, and you can do something called a class. Now, there's things called classes and IDs. We're going to start with the class. And so all you have to do is you just, right here inside this bracket, you type class, and if you're using VSC or Visual Studio Code, it will print it out for you. You can just hit enter, and it's class equals, and then you put your quotations, and you're going to call your class. You can call this a main or something. It doesn't really matter. You can call it main paragraph. You can call it whatever. And then you can come over here to your styles, and then you just erase that P, and you put a dot main. And then if you hit save, it's not going to do anything quite yet because I have to save this one first. Save. Beautiful. Okay, there it goes. Now it has updated, and it only was this piece. Good. That's kind of cool though. So now you have a class right here, and then that can refer specifically to that class. You can give it some style points. And how you do that is a period. That's how you call a class. That's a class. Now you could also do an ID if you want to do. So if we change this to ID, for example, hit save, it's obviously going to change it back to the way that it was because there is no attribute for that in here. But we can change this to a hashtag, enter, it goes right back. So in your CSS file, your hashtag is equal to, or it refers to, an ID, and a period before your call refers to a class. It's a very important note because then now you can refer to your IDs and your classes in anything in here. One more important note is an ID can only be used one time. So if I put here in my P an ID of main, I cannot use an ID of main again. ID can only be used one time per element, and this paragraph is an element. So you can only use an ID once. But if you wanted to set set like CSS for multiple objects to be exactly the same, that's why you would use a class. A class can be used multiple times. I could do a class here, I could do a class here, I could do a class up here, I could do a class here in the H1, I could do all of that. If I so chose, I could make class multiple times. So that's the difference between these different ones here. I want to show you guys one more thing real quick, which is kind of cool. All this is, what I'm going to show you is called, it's an ID. And I call it active, and I've seen active used a lot of times, excuse me, a lot of times when building websites and going around and doing all that. I've seen it so many times, and it's such a useful thing. Now, again, like I said, it's just an ID, so you can use whatever name you want. It doesn't necessarily have to be active, but I use active because it's very self-explanatory. So up here in your navigation in your header in this code, you can type right before your href ID active. Now, like I had just said, it's the same as a class down here. It's the same as, just an ID. You're gonna write the code for this. So in your CSS file, I mean, and you're gonna tell it what you want the active ID to do. And so you put a hashtag active. Oopsie, if I can spell correctly. And you're gonna ID active, and then you can tell it what to do as far as you can make these, whatever active tab you're on, highlight. And that's very useful for websites and things like that. So you could do something like a background color. For now, we're gonna keep it white. You can make it any different color that you wanted. We could do like a color for the words, and we could use just regular blue. Well, it's already kind of blue. Let's not do that. Let's make it some other color. Let's make it like oh, it's also already purple because we're already there. Let's make it something. Come on. We'll do, I believe, steel blue. Yeah, steel blue is a color that already exists. And then we hit save, and then you look. It changed the color of the text. If you ended up changing this one to black, for example, hit save, it would blacken the background. So I hope you're starting to see how valuable that is, so that this will keep track of which tab you're on, and it will highlight that for the user to see. It's just kind of a nifty little thing. You can use it as you go further into building your own website, which is our goal here. As I go through these lessons and teach you guys how to do this, my goal is to teach you guys how to build your own website. I will dive into that. We will go into that. It'll be a lot of fun. I will show you guys how it can be live on the web so other people can see your websites. And I will even show you my website that I built because I love it. I'm super happy with it and proud of it, and I'm constantly upgrading it, putting extra things in it. And it's nothing that other people actually use. It's just something fun that I made for a fictitious like account, or not account, but a fictitious business that I'd like to build. And so it's a little bit of fun just playing around with it. So I'll show you guys what it looks like when that time comes. But for right now, just do these things, get familiar with how these things work, make your own tags and your own things. Play around with this, have fun. You can do it to your footer as well. So as you go about and do this, you can make your footer look all pretty and stuff too as well. So you can make something like, since you have all the H1 and stuff, you can do that with footer. Let's go put footer, and then we'll do that. And we can say something like You know what, let's do exactly the same. Since we're doing it for each one, let's just slap that in there. Just for simplicity's sake, hit save, and it makes it like that. You can do that with your footer, and I recommend doing that with your footer. So let's change this to like steel blue, for example. That's good. Okay, and then up here at the top, I like to keep mine organized. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing right here. I like to organize my code. Like my footer is at the very bottom because that's exactly where it is in my code when I'm in my HTML, and my header is going to be up here. In the header, you can do something similar just so that it looks exactly the same. Now, generally, I'm not going to actually center this part. That's not exactly what I would do. But you can center this and get this all centered up so that it's nice and pretty in the middle. It looks kind of nice. And then I would probably take away the center here in my footer because I don't really want it to be centered. It doesn't look quite the way I want it to. But you see, CSS is the way that we manipulate this page to make it look cool, add some colors, and make it look really fancy and put together. And as we go from lesson to lesson, this will continue to look better and better, and it won't always just look like a hunk of something. It will start to look better and better as we go. So one quick note also, I forgot to mention real quick. If you guys do copy and paste my code and you are working alongside me, you're not going to see a picture here. It's probably just going to say the alternate buildings. It's probably just going to have like a little symbol and say buildings because you don't have an image like I do. This is saved locally on my computer. If you guys would like to have an image there, that's totally fine. You guys totally can do that. What I would recommend for that is just go save a picture. It could be a personal picture on your computer. No one's going to see this page, so it's not going to matter. It's just you. You're going to be the one seeing this. So it could be a personal picture you have, or you can just go get a random picture off the web, off Google or something. When you guys build your own website, a quick note is don't use copyrighted photos or anything like that. Make sure you're using photos that are free to use and stuff like that. But for right now, since no one else is seeing it, it's not that important. But I would create an images folder, which I have right here, and it has building in it. And I just saved that picture that you just saw up there. And I would put that in there and then just refer to it by saying the path, saying it's in images, the images folder / the name of the file, whatever you decide to use. Go ahead and do that. Go ahead and have some fun. Play around with this, do all this other stuff, have fun. Make sure you guys are subscribed so you guys can see next week's video when it comes out. If you guys have any questions for me, something that wasn't clear enough, if you guys want me to go into more depth, just let me know in the comments below. I usually respond fairly quickly. I try to check the comments every day. I hope you guys have a great week, and I'll see you guys next week.